everyone. Thank you for attending our webinar on cloud backup data protection in the cloud. I'm going to give you a brief introduction into the topics that will be covered today. So we can go to the next slide. We will take a look at the agenda. So today, our solutions architect, Jairo Sarmiento, is going to go over why is data backup essential in Microsoft 365, our Claro Cloud Backup for Microsoft 365 with the key features and benefits. And we will also present a live demo of our solution with real-life use cases. And at the end of the webinar, we will have a brief Q&A session. So thank you for attending, and now Jairo is going to introduce the webinar. Thank you. You are on mute, Jairo.
Here we go. I have all my screens here, so I didn't know which one was the one that I had the mute button. Thank you so much, Domenica. I was saying, well, first of all, thank you for joining this webinar today, specifically about our cloud backup solution with Claro Enterprise Solutions. And so, before we get into the actual, bread and butter of this webinar, I'd like to go through a high-level overview of what we actually do here at Claro, and how can we actually help you secure your environment as well, in a reactive way, but also in a proactive way, right? And all the whole cycle, or the whole circle of security in a collaboration suite like M365. And let's go ahead and jump into that Office 365 or M365 journey. So one of the benefits that we have here with Claro is that we're going to support you in all those stages that you see on the screen, right? From inception to disposition. From inception of the data that you have, let's say, for example, in a file server, or that you may have on, I don't know, maybe Google Workspace, or an Exchange server, anything on-prem that you have and that you would like to go ahead and place that in the cloud. So we can actually help you migrating that data into the M365 environment. So that's one of the first benefits, that inception of that data. And the second would be what we're going to be talking about today, which is our backup solution, which is a proactive approach to security. I'm sorry, a reactive approach to security, right? And reactive, why? Because in the case of a ransomware attack, a malware attack, or that something happens with your data, maybe a mistake that you made and you deleted some data, you're going to be able to recover from that, from that disaster, and be able to be up and running in no time. Have business continuity, which is kind of like the most important thing to have. So that's the reactive part. And then we have the proactive part, which is our collaboration suite or collaboration management, which is basically the ability to create guardrails within the M365 tenant, for you to be able to create that governance that we need. So we are securing our environment from the inside out, instead of just waiting for somebody to go across all those different layers of security to access our data. So once you have that full circle of security, the security in your migration into the M365 environment, but also the reactive approach to security, and then your proactive approach to security, then you have definitely a more secure collaboration suite as well. This combined with all these different cybersecurity tools that that are out there, then that's going to help you maintaining that security. Now, let's focus on this NIST cybersecurity framework. This is one of the highlights that we have in our security approach. Is that the way all the solutions and services that we provide are fully compliant with this NIST cybersecurity framework, the 2.0 one, which is basically the newest one. Cloud backup solution that we're going to be speaking about today, is actually, covering one of those pillars, the recovery part, of course, because of the reactivity of that solution, right? But also, I would say that it's in compliance with more of those, which is the identify, the protect, and even the detect one, and the respond as well. Because the beauty of this solution that we have today, in this service that we provide, is that we can also detect a ransomware attack if it's happening, right? Why? We're going to know more about that, in a few minutes. But the idea of having all this information of all the users, saving or backing up all their data, allow us to be able to know what's what's their behavior, and if those behaviors change, then we're going to be able to detect if a ransomware attack or malware attack is happening. And with collaboration security compliance or collaboration security management, which is our proactive approach to security, then we are in compliance with our govern, the protect, detect, respond, and identify pillars of that cybersecurity framework 2.0. Okay? So that's one thing to have in mind. It means that we can actually work with government agencies as well, and so you can actually be in compliance with those rules and regulations. All right, so we're going back to that circle of security that we have, that we're going to be focusing today on the backup part of it, the cloud backup solution. And let's go ahead and focus on how we're going to be able to secure that collaboration suite that you have. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand this to Domenica. So we're going to go through this poll, different questions, and I hope you answer those questions. But I'm going to continue with the presentations after that, and we're going to go ahead and discuss those questions, those answers later on.
Yes, you should have received a pop-up multiple choice question with the answer, so please select the one you believe it is.
All right. So, the first thing that you're going to probably read there is just, why do you think a backup solution is essential for M365? And it's a really good question. It's a very simple question. And I'm sure most of you are going to say, like, oh, I already know the answer. And we're going to discuss that, because sometimes, in some cases, even us that have been in the cybersecurity realm for a while, there are things that we are not aware of. What's the coverage, for example, of Microsoft with certain solutions that they have, like Microsoft 365 in this case, right? So I'm going to go ahead and let you just go ahead and go through those answers. And in the meantime, I'm not sure, Domenica, can I actually continue on the next one, or is this going to close this window for them?
You can continue. That's fine.
Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and say I'm going to minimize this. You are going to be able to see that. All right. So while you answer the poll, we're going to go through, what Microsoft native functionality supports, regarding backups and also restoration. And one thing that I want you to remember is that we are not trying to bash Microsoft capabilities here. I would like to bring that up, just because they actually encourage, and all the users, all their M365 users, to use cloud backup tools in services to be able to secure their collaboration suites. Okay, so for example, if we go through these slides here, this is going to be, I'm going to show you just kind of like the tip of the iceberg, right? Did you know that if a document is corrupted, for example, because user made a mistake, you can only recover 100 versions of that document. So every time that you are actually working on an Excel document or on a Word document or something like that, you're creating different multiple versions of that document. Every time that you actually make a mistake and you go back and delete that, the word that you wrote wrong or something like that, then you're creating multiple versions of it. And I would say like in a matter of like half an hour, you're probably creating more than 100, 200 versions of that document. So imagine if you could only go back 100, to 100, to the 100th version of it. You probably deleted something, I don't know, maybe a writer or maybe somebody in a company, an organization that is trying to, a CEO that's trying to write a presentation or something like that, and they want to actually go back more than 100 versions of it. They won't be able to. That's the reality. That's intended functionality. That's how Microsoft actually created that, and that's fine, right? That's how they created it. But you should have the option to go back in time for either legal purposes or because you need the information. You should be able to go back in time and be able to go and recover that. What about if a user deletes a document? You know that you only have like 93 days in total to recover that document from the recycle bin. That's a reality. After that, it's completely lost. You don't have that document anymore, right? So from the legal perspective, legal department, they need to go back in time and get that document. They won't be able to recover it after 93 days. Another thing that is if you delete an email, for example, right? If you delete an email, you only have 14 days by default to restore that email. That's probably something that a lot of us didn't know, right? Another thing is if you actually send a message to Microsoft, they can enhance that and add another 14 days. You can have up to 30 days to be able to recover that item, that file that you actually lost. But that's it. You don't have any more options. And that's for example for emails. But what about SharePoint? Let's say that if there's a site owner that or an admin that actually deletes or soft deletes a group or a team, they only have 30 days to restore it. That's tops, right? What happens after those 30 days? What happens after 90 days? What happens after a year that you need to, go ahead and get that information? Even worse, if you have a ransomware attack, you can only use file restore, which is actually a tool that Microsoft offers, and then you can only restore OneDrive, sites, and Teams. Everything else you won't be able to. And also, you only have 14 days to restore that data using Microsoft Backup. And like I was saying before, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So there are a lot of those limitations that you can definitely find in Microsoft website, and those are not limitations. It's intended functionality. They meant to actually do that because they believe that organizations, they actually need to get their own cloud backup solution to be able to ensure that their collaboration suite is secure. Right. So so now we're having an idea, and probably at this point, those answers that you gave us in the poll are being answered. If at the end they're not answered, I mean, you're more than welcome to go ahead and ask us, and we will be able to go ahead and respond. Let's move to, let's continue with the topic. Today, in this era, in the digital marketplace that we have today, we have little tolerance for transaction delays. And some probably would say that is an instant gratification world. I say time is money, pretty much. So even if you have a very small window of downtime, it actually it's a synonym of like losses in productivity and also in sales, and even the customer loyalty. Customer is not gonna rely on you if you have a downtime that long. So that's the reason why organization basically needs a robust DRP or disaster recovery plan. Right? With a plan like the one that you see here, this is of course high level, you'll know how to quickly recover from an incident. And those incidents might disable a critical applications that you're using, and most likely the data that you have there is not going to be accessible. Same like as this happens with a ransomware attack, for example. So what he's going to do is going to prepare you for getting back online in no time, or as soon as possible. That way you can actually minimize damage to your business. So that's also when meeting these RPOs and these RTOs in your disaster recovery plan come in handy. Some of you are going to ask, well, what is an RPO or is an RTO, right? So basically an RPO is a recovery point objective, so it's basically the amount of time that it takes to recover critical systems and data after a disaster, right? So how long is it going to take me to go ahead and recover all that important information that I need, sales information, or, or maybe data for device driver development company, for example, and the RTOs are actually the recovery time objective. So the maximum amount of data that can be lost during a disaster. So how much data I can afford to lose, during a disaster before my company doesn't work anymore. So those are the RPOs and the RTOs that I was referring to that actually conform what we call a DRP or disaster recovery plan. So that's when I was saying those are the things that actually could come in handy when actually creating a disaster recovery plan. If you are based on what actually Microsoft offers, then those RPOs and those RTOs, you probably won't be able to meet them as you want them, right? So that's when you need a robust disaster recovery plan. Right, let's go ahead and focus on the solution per se. And then before we talk about how backup works, I like to point out that Claro strives to work with the best partners, provide the people to provide the best solutions and the best services. We need to work with the best as well. So let's see a little bit of history of the partners that we work with to be able to provide those services to our customers. We currently work with a company called AvePoint. They've been 20 years in the market. They work with Azure as well. So they have all the regional redundancy, the resiliency, the geo-replication as well. They are certified with FedRAMP authorized, SOC 2 compliant, ISO certified, and all those things, that all those benefits actually translate to our services as well for you guys. So what we offer is actually the ability to be able to back up data, not only in M365, but also in Dynamics and Power Platform, AWS, Azure, Salesforce, and Google Workspace as well. But today we're going to be focusing on our M365 suite. And I'm sorry if I'm actually looking on my side. This is one of my monitors on this side of the screen, so that's why that's where I actually see my slides. So we're going to be focusing on that cloud backup. Cloud backup solution for M365 specifically. So we're going to be backing up data in Teams, Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint as well. So what's the backup solution actually help us with? The solution is going to enable us to back up and restore the data within the different workloads in M365. And it's going to help us to back up the data in a very granular way. Instead of restoring an entire folder, let's say, or a SharePoint site or a whole drive, we have the ability to restore say, Teams channels, the conversations on those channels, messages, all the like the different tabs, the files, the permissions for those files as well, any settings that you have there. For specific SharePoint sites, the list on those SharePoint sites, items, the permissions as well. I'm talking about permissions a lot, which is basically the security of the files that you have there, all the metadata, the workflows, and the data in OneDrive as well, permissions again, and also the ability to restore the data in the same location, in the same OneDrive, SharePoint site, Exchange, etc., or the ability to restore it in a different location, and also be able to restore that data or export that data to be able to have it in your hands and be able to save it into a USB drive. You're going to be able to also restore Exchange mailboxes, single emails, and even project data online. So that's one huge differentiator with other companies, the ability to be that granular in the way you restore the data. Also, how do we do it? The difference with having just M365, that they have their own kind of like backup solution that is included. Like I said, with their limitations, but it's included. Instead of just running backups every 12 hours, like they do, we can actually go up to or down to doing 4 different backups per day, to 1 every 6 hours, right? And that's going to enhance the possibility of finding that item or that file, that an exact version of the file that was deleted or that was encrypted or that was lost by mistake. Another benefit is that there's no limitation regarding the amount of time that has passed since the day that the file was deleted. So let's say that you're having our cloud backup solution since 2022, right? And then you want to go back in time up until the day when you started backing up your data and you want to restore it. You will be able to, no issues. You don't have any limitations regarding that amount of time that has passed, but you also don't have limitations on the amount of data that you can back up, because you have unlimited backups, unlimited storage, and unlimited retention as well. And again, you can restore the items in the same location to a different OneDrive, SharePoint site, team, email, or any storage location. And we can run like multiple restores at the same time as well, so it's multi-threaded. All right, so probably, well, we all know that ransomware attacks have increased crazy in the last few years. Of course, I still remember attacks that happened back in 2017 and 2016, like Crybaby, for example, that affected companies and hospitals in California, and banks, and in Mexico, for example, in Europe as well. A lot of money was lost in those cyber attacks, in those ransomware attacks. Of course, they were asking for ransoms, and at the time they didn't have the option to recover from those attacks or be able to go ahead and unencrypt that data that was encrypted. So they had to pay. They had to pay at the moment $20 million. Bank of Mexico actually paid for the ransomware attack. A lot of hospitals in California, they ended up paying millions to be able to unencrypt all that data from their patients, and also in Europe as well. Why? They did not have, a solution in place that would back up that data, and they will be able to go ahead and recover and restore that data in no time. So a simple example, very recent, was like the United Healthcare. United Healthcare paid $22 million in ransomware to a Russian, I think it was Russian, yeah, Russian cybercrime group. So basically, what we do with those things, with cloud, with ransomware, is that we learn from those backups. And I mentioned this at the beginning. So we use machine learning to be able to analyze the behavior of the users that are backing up their data. And what we do is we alert of any unusual activities that could indicate compromise. So what we do is we send IOCs, indicators of compromise, and you can either integrate those, or you can actually have somebody that is can look at those and then determine what to do. And that same team, in this case, our team of experts, will be able to go ahead and recover all that data from good backup, from healthy backup that were backed up in the past, and then get you up and running in no time. That's what we call business continuity, right? So and also not only be able to go ahead and respond to that attack is one of the important things, but also go through an investigation to see where that ransomware attack actually came in from. It could have been, usually it comes in from OneDrive, for example. Somebody in OneDrive just went ahead and brought in a file into M365, specifically OneDrive, and that actually initiated that attack. So now you know who can actually did it, who actually did it, and then we can determine what to do. How can we have some like proactivity or in their security to be able to allow or not allow that person to go ahead and do things like they did. Go ahead, Dami.
Now, I was gonna say that you can find a link in the chat
Thank
that
you.
will take you to a ransomware tracker for 2025, where you can see that 72% of organizations worldwide have been impacted by ransomware. And you'll be able to find other interesting statistics as well across the world. So I
Thank you so much.
check the link out because it's very interesting.
Thank you, Dami. Yeah, it's definitely like you're gonna see there in a single day how many of those ransomware attacks happen, and it could go from like, I don't know, $50 maybe at ransom to millions. It's impressive how every single day, even though we know about the ransomware is out there, we still like see people getting attacked and having to pay those those that money, those ransoms. So okay, let me go to the next one here. Now we need to know how we actually. Thank you so much, Dami. Now we need to know how we do it. So what we do is, first of all, we have the ability to have an early event detection. Since we actually use machine learning, we use an algorithm that is going to be able to detect those unusual activities or potentially ransomware. So we have the ability to go ahead and detect that in an early stage. The second benefit that we have is that we can do a quick investigation, like I mentioned before. We can provide you with detail, like charge reports, and that is going to help you or your security team to go ahead and quickly drill into those areas of question, and that way we can, or together we can actually nail down what were the impacted scopes, and be able to shorten that investigation that usually takes forever. And also the restoration time is important here. So we're going to have a faster restore from good backup. And then after we go through that investigation, we can immediately move to that remediation phase, by getting those healthy backups, restoring them, and then we can just go ahead and restore that data in a fast way and be up and running and have business continuity. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what are the benefits of the solution that we're offering today, right? So in a nutshell, what we have here is that cloud backup is a fully SaaS solution. So you're not going to need any VMs or any agents to be able to run it. Like any other cybersecurity tools that you have, like all these multiple agents. No, we don't need that. We just need basically a connection between your M365 tenant and the solutions that we use to be able to scan all that data, index that data, and be able to back it up in uh, in storage location. It could be that you're going to use the unlimited storage that we offer, or it could be that you want to have your own storage, right? When that happens, it usually happens when you need data sovereignty, when you need to have your data in the same location where you are. That happens, say, for example, in Europe, with the GDPR, or in California with CCPA, that where you need to have the data local. So that's when you can bring your own storage. You can bring your AWS S3 buckets or compatible to that, or you can bring your own Microsoft Azure blob storage or FTP or SFTP or even Dropbox, right? But usually what we found out is, like, if you don't need to be compliant with those rules and regulations, the unlimited storage option is the ones that customers choose. Um, the solution is actually auto-scalable. So again, you don't have to worry about storage. You don't have to worry about retention, because the retention is also unlimited. So in some cases, when you have when you archive data for X or Y reason, you need to have a different solution for archiving. You can still keep your data and your backups for as long as you need, with no extra charges or anything like that. So again, very high level. We just need to create that connection between the application that we use and your M365 tenant. And we scan all the data from the different workloads in M365. Then what we do is we encrypt that data in transit, and we send it over an encrypted channel. And we use TLS 2.1 and also 1.3. 1.2, 1.3, I'm sorry. And we also encrypt that data at rest. And what do we use for data rest? We use AES 256-bit encryption. And we use Azure Key Vault. Since we work with Microsoft products, we use Azure Key Vault, which allow us or enables us to generate a unique key for each one of the customers that we work with. Another benefit is you can actually use your own Azure Key Vault key as well. One important thing to bring up is that the backups are immutable. What does that mean? Immutable means that they're isolated, they are air gapped, and so basically that the file that we store, in Azure Blob Storage cannot be changed, cannot be modified, and cannot be encrypted at all. Right? Also, you have the option to delete the data per request, and that's because of the compliance rules and regulations. If you're following one of those rules and regulations and you need to delete data, from the backups or from the database, you will be able to do it. It's what they call the right to be forgotten, right? So if a user within the organization, they want to go ahead and delete their personal data or their, the data that belongs to them, they're allowed to, and they're entitled to go ahead and do that. They can send a request to the company, and we need to be able to be compliant with that and be able to delete that data. So it is possible to do it with us. Also, regarding authentication, again, the solution uses Azure Active Directory authentication, which is what you currently use for M365. So there's no creation of another password, another username. You're going to use the same authentication you have with M365. And then also the ability of our team to go ahead and create backup profiles only for what you need. Sometimes you don't need to back up everything. For legal purposes, as a matter of fact, in some cases you don't want to back up everything. You just want to back up what's important for you, and you want to retain what's important for you. So you're going to be able to create those profiles within, with our team. And finally, last but not least, I just talked about it, is ransomware detection. Now, cloud backup is going to cloud backup team is going to be able to learn from those backups and also alert of any unusual activities that might indicate an IOC or an indicator of compromise, basically. If there's a ransomware attack going on or something, our team is going to be able to, using those healthy recovery points, they're going to be able to recover that data and get you up and running in no time, giving you business continuity. And you can go ahead and set up any alerts to any of anybody in your security team. So you can actually minimize the impact of a breach, and immediately afterwards, you can start restoring all the data that was lost. So that's a huge benefit of our M365 cloud backup solution and services that we offer. Now, how do we actually? Let me go back before we get into the demo. Offer this solution. Number one, we can actually provide a start setup just to make sure that all the initial configuration and all the customization is correctly implemented. So we do have a team of analysts and engineers that can actually help you out integrating the solution and kind of giving you the best practices for you to handle our cloud backup solution. And the number two here, it's giving you that management 24/7. We're going to provide you 24/7 service desk, and they're going to be able to monitor your backups. They're going to go ahead and get those alerts from the ransomware detection feature. And of course, one of the important things is, like, with your blessing, because we're going to be an extension of your security team, with your blessing, we're going to be able to go ahead and restore that data and go through that investigation with you, and be able to go ahead and recover and be up and running in no time. Any changes for any policies, or delegated administration changes that you require within the solution or anything like that, we can actually provide you with that, and also with monthly reporting as well. Right. So those are, and now we're going to go to the demo. So let me go ahead and bring this up. Bear with me just for a sec. Of course, it timed out, so now I want to restart pretty much everything. Okay. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please just go ahead and put them in the chat, and we're gonna address those at the end. All right. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this here. It's easier. All right. So let's see if I can actually move this little screen. It's a little bit different here with this tool. I'm gonna make it easier. Let's go ahead and stop sharing. And we're gonna share here. All right, perfect. Sorry for the delay there. All right, the first thing here, this is the solution itself, but before we get into that, we're gonna go through a little day in the life of a data analyst. And I say data in life, but this is just one use case, and just for the sake of time, we're gonna go through it. But what happens here is, a regular user like I am, that uses pretty much OneDrive, SharePoint, Exchange, and all these different tools that we have within M365. In this specific case, I'm using OneDrive, and I have all this, data. There's all these files that I've been working on, all these presentations and quotes and things, and then, having my OneDrive here, and assuming that this is here is going to be forever, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this PowerPoint presentation that I have, right? Little PowerPoint presentation about all our cloud products and services. Then I just go ahead and delete it. Could be by mistake, could be because I said, I sent it to somebody else that needed it and I don't need it anymore. So, this happens probably like 2 months ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. Right. And for the sake of the presentation, let's say that this happens to like 2 months ago, right? Oh, who has the file open? Let me check it out. Am I the one who has the file open? Bear with me. Delete again. Okay. I went ahead and deleted it. So the file is gone. It's been 2 months, right? It's been 2 months, and of course, after a certain time, I won't be able to restore it. That file is nowhere to be found. With Microsoft, I lost the ability completely to go and restore that file. And so what we have here is, now I need to go ahead and contact my, Claro. Hey, can you go ahead and, of course, via chat, or, you can go ahead and say, hey, please go ahead and see if you can find this specific file for me, and then just go ahead and restore it, right? So what the data analyst is going to go through is going to go through all this, this platform. And first of all, they're going to be checking all the time if all the backups are, all the data is properly backed up, right? So in this case, for example, everything is fine with Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, but there's some little issues with Microsoft Groups and also Teams. And why? Well, that analyst is going to have to go through that and find out exactly why those errors happen, why it's not backing up that data. It could be that there's an issue with the data that is being backed up. It could be that maybe the data is corrupted, and the solution actually checks that out and says, like, no, I won't be able to back up that data because that data could cause harm. So those are the things that we are checking on a daily basis to make sure that everything is properly functioning. Now, once I go through that and see that everything is fine, specifically with OneDrive, then I can go ahead and restore the data. But before we actually go into the restoration process, let me go ahead and show you some other benefits that we have here. Remember that I told you about compliance, which is really important. How can we be compliant with all those rules and regulations and GDPR or CCPA? Well, our team, is going to be able to go through and search through all these different files that are backed up. Remember, they have the ability. The users have the ability to say, "Hey, I want you to delete my data," and you need to be able to go ahead and find that data and remove it completely from your databases and also from your backup. So that's how our data analysts are going to be able to go through that and be able to delete that data manually. Of course, they're going to have all the reporting. They're going to be able to see the unusual activities. For example, here, all the different unusual. We don't have, which is a good thing. We don't have any unusual activities in OneDrive at this point. But if there's a ransomware attack going on, if there's some behaviors that are not normal with the users that are backing up their data, they're going to be able to find that information here. They're going to create a report for you. They're going to be able to show you that information, and also they're going to be able to go back to the healthy backup, the last healthy backup, and be able to restore that data from here, right? Now, among all the different features that features that come, with the different tools and solutions that our data analysts actually work with. So now that it's been a little while here, we're going to be able to go ahead and restore that data. So, they're going to go through all the different workloads that you have in M365. And depending on what you're backing up, in some cases, you're not backing up Teams, for example, you're not backing up OneDrive. It depends on how you create the DRP plan, right? If you have a disaster recovery plan where Project Online is not included, I mean, but having all this ability to go ahead and, restore and back up all these different workloads, I might as well just kind of use all of them, right? So now I have, say, my OneDrive. I deleted that data from my OneDrive, so I have multiple ways to go ahead and search for that file. And so my data analyst is going to go through those backups. Now, we are backing up here the data once a day. Remember, you can actually back up your data 4 times per day, which is, I would say it's better, because now in between all those backups, you could have multiple changes, multiple modifications to those files. So that's going to give you, the ability to go ahead and find that exact file or the exact version of the file that you're looking for. So let's say that I go back in time here, and I'm going to go ahead and look for that specific backup that was made on December 25th. Right. So now I have all my users here, and then I can look for, my user specifically. That's the one that I'm actually looking for. And I'm going to go through all the files that this guy has. And, I'm going to go through the documents, right? And then I happen to find that PPTX file that I deleted 2 months ago, or a month ago, or 90, whatever time it is, and I can go ahead and select it, right? And I have the options to go ahead and restore it, or I can export it. If I export it, then I'm going to have that file in my hands, and I can send it to a USB drive, or if I restore it, then I'm going to have 2 options, which is one of the differentiators that we have here, is just that you're going to be able to restore the data, the content, and the security of the file. The content, all the what is inside of the file, but the security, the permissions that file has, who has access to that file, right? So now I can say, maybe I don't want to restore the file per se, but I lost the security file, the security of the file. I lost the permissions of that file because there was an issue with OneDrive, and and the admin actually deleted all the permissions. So I can go ahead and restore the security only. Or if I want to restore the content only because I know the permissions are fine, so I can go ahead and restore that, or I can go ahead and do both, right? I'm going to go ahead and do both, restore the content and security. I can restore the data to the original location, or I can restore the data to a different location. And this is going to give me the ability to restore the data to a different OneDrive, which, if you think about it, I mean, is almost like giving us the ability to go ahead and migrate the data pretty much from one side to another. So if one person actually left the organization, and the manager needs to recover the data that that person had while he was working, he's going to be able to go ahead and restore the data into his own OneDrive. So I'm going to go ahead and restore the data to the original location, and I'm going to make sure that if the file is there, I'm going to overwrite it. I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to go ahead and restore it, right? So that's, that started that process of restoration. If we go to the job monitor, we're going to probably see that the job starting, like, sorry, that restoration starting. And now we're going to go ahead and wait until that happens, right? Now, if we go back to my OneDrive, of course, it's going to take a little time to go ahead and show up, but then, I can go ahead and refresh, give it a few more minutes, and that file is going to be there again. So that's one of the that's one little use case of hundreds, of use cases that we have, and also the ability to go ahead and find if there's a ransomware attack going on and be able to go ahead and restore all that data in a timely manner as well. So that's one of the other benefits. Of course, here is taking, since this is a demo, usually takes a little time. Let's see. Well, in the meantime, if you want to just go ahead and send your questions, questions.
I actually have one question.
Okay.
What measures are in place to protect against insider threats or unauthorized access to the backed up data?
That's actually a really great question. Um, let me answer that question. I apologize. Are you guys, Dome, are you seeing my demo environment, or are you seeing the demo screen? Because I don't have a visibility on that.
I am seeing your files.
My OneDrive. Okay. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Perfect. Thank you so much. I kind of got scared a little bit because I was seeing that the little bar, control bar, was on top of the demo slide. Okay, that's good. Perfect. So here's the short file. This is the new one, the one that I just recovered. So that's how you can get your data back and up in your files in the same location, but you can also get it in a different location. Thank you so much, Tommy. To answer your question, this is a reactive approach to security. This is a solution that enables us to recover if anything like a ransomware attack, malware attack happens, right? And that's the reason why it's proactive, but it's not. It's reactive, but it's not proactive. The proactivity would be to have a solution in place that allows me to have governance within the tenant, allows me to go ahead and create some rules, some guardrails that enable some users to access some specific data, some other users to access some other data, or external users to not access any internal data whatsoever. So it's a perfect segue actually for our collaboration and environment, or collaboration security management solution, which is the proactive approach to security. Remember that circle that I showed you? Okay, so we have the reactive approach to security, which was this one, and the proactive approach to security, which would be the collaboration security management solution. That would put those guardrails in place, that governance in place in the tenant. This one here would be a solution that any company must have, just because it's going to give you the ability to recover if any of those proactive tools, any of those cybersecurity tools fail. You're going to be able to go ahead and restore the data and be up and running in no time, right? So one more thing that I wanted to show you, and let me see if I can move my screen here back, and please, Dome, please let me know if I'm in the right place. I think so, right? Okay.
In the presentation, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Well, one of the cases, one of the many success cases that we have is this success case in a city in Texas. We actually implemented M365 for them. We completed the migration from an on-prem environment to M365, and one of the things they realize is, like, well, once we get into M365, now we are just in the wild west, right? So now we actually need some kind of security. And then of course, we went through kind of similar to this presentation. We showed them the importance of having a reactive approach to security, and they implemented cloud backup for M365, and they are working with that solution since then. And on top of that, they realized that they also needed a proactive approach to security. Like Domi said, is there anything that is preventing me from having any attacks or anything like that, or from somebody making a mistake and deleting something, or things like that, or from maybe somebody externally to access my data, since we are sharing all these documents with partners and with people outside of the organization. And then that's when our collaboration security management solution actually came in handy, that proactive approach to security that we offer as well. But that could be for a different webinar, for a different meeting, or if you guys want to know more about it, you can contact us. You can send us your email. We can contact you back. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I know we are it's gonna be, we have 2 minutes to receive any questions and information that you guys want to talk about, and we can actually follow up later on a different meeting as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Haida. This was very, very insightful.